the beat of New York.
103.5 KTU.
We took a germ meter and swabbed Carolina's stuff. I'll give you those numbers in a second. We're now doing it live on Cubby. Now, just to get an idea, it's time of year. We heard about it last night when the press conference when the president said, I'm a germaphobe. I would never let them do that stuff to me. I wouldn't, hire women. Germaphobes don't do that. So I thought I'd come in today and revisit the issue of germs in our environment, especially work environment. So we just swabbed Carolina's mic, what you speak into all day long.
Yes.
Now, ideally, you want your number to be under 50 or so. That's sort of a nice number to have.
Under 50, okay.
And Carolina, you were, 226.
What?
Wait, the microphone she's on now?
Yes.
And you're the biggest germaphobe of all, Carolina.
Oh my gosh! But wait, so what is that? That's just because of my spit hitting the
Spit
microphone
hitting
and
the bacteria then grow in the spit.
Bop.
Yep.
Oh my god!
Well, let me ask you a question. Her mic is only used when she's on the air, pretty much.
Yeah, well, Eric, I think sometimes uses it. No, but very infrequently.
The microphone I'm on right now is on 24/7, and all the weekend
Everybody
DJs use it. And we had a swab on that.
We have a swab.
3, 2.
Okay.
In 2 seconds, and here it is. Cheryl just did it.
0, you're dead.
It's a 0?
Yeah, I think I need to do it again.
Oh, yeah, probably gonna do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Yeah.
it's interesting to think that it's about what's used the most, but in fairness, it's about what's cleaned the most. So in a hospital, take a hospital, right? So the toilet seat, the knob to your room, or the TV remote. What's the dirtiest thing?
the TV remote.
Of course.
Yes, because everybody's fingers touch it.
And
By the
no
way, hang
one
on.
ever cleans it.
Yeah.
You hear that noise? That's Cheryl swabbing.
Where we're swabbing.
Oh, Cheryl's an expert at
Can
swabbing.
you turn and cough, please, Cubby?
I'd love
We're going to keep swabbing.
Bend over a little bit.
Swabbed a few things in my day.
So no, that's why every time I go to a hotel, I take my Lysol wipes and I wipe the door handles, the light switches, and the remote control because I know I'm going to be using the remote control.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so
right.
smart. Yes.
Well, no, but see, that's the thing. It's like people think it's like me trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be funny. It really grosses me out.
Yeah, it should gross you up. People sitting there, they're picking their nose.
Right.
They just went to the bathroom. They didn't wash their hands because they're in their own room, and then they touch the remote. And when the housekeeping comes around, they make sure the soap is clean. And,
Right.
they clean up the sink. You know how they do all kinds of tricks to make sure you know that they clean the sink?
Exactly.
Right? The toilet paper's folded over.
Yep.
Right? Who cares?
Oh, you know what my wife taught me? Don't use, when they put glass, like little glasses by the sink?
Oh, I never use those. I put my makeup brushes in them.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't use those because they don't usually put them in the dishwasher.
And they don't clean
They
them,
don't
yeah.
clean them.
Uh-oh.
No, wait.
All right, so 5, 4, 3.
Oh, the microphone that I'm on right now has
So remember, Kelly was 226, which is a little high.
What?
Oh my gosh, what?
257.
257
not
is
bad,
my
though.
microphone. Yeah.
Bad, only in comparison.
In comparison to mine.
What is going on in this room?
Well, that's the thing. These microphones never get cleaned, so it's really not up to us. And we're actually not even really allowed to touch the equipment. Our engineering department,
Right.
they're because everything's so sensitive.
I sprayed Lysol on it one time, and an engineer went, "Don't you do
Why
that?"
would you ever do
Well, I
that? If
wouldn't
this
do
is
that
expensive
either.
equipment.
that
Exactly. Yeah,
either.
Dr. Oz is like, I don't know why you did that.
But don't you think germs are a good thing? I've always told Carolina, you're sick all the time because you're avoiding them too much. I think you got to build that immune up.
So we got a big show actually today on probiotics. And just to put some numbers in here, inside of our body, there are more bacteria than cells in our body. And we've got trillions and trillions.
But there's good bacteria and bad bacteria. right?
Exactly. And as long as it's balanced, you're in good shape. And most of us don't recognize that sauerkraut and yogurt and kimchi, all these things have good bacteria that allows your body to stay in kilter with the bad bacteria. You have 500 species of bad bacteria that can kill you right now. Kill you right now.
Okay.
But thankfully, there are many, many more species of good bacteria that neutralize them out. So in fairness, the total number of germs is not as important as what kind of germs there are. But a lot of germs is still a lot of germs. And you're supposed to have the germs inside your gut, not outside your gut.
Okay, my question is it better to take the probiotic in pill form, or there are a lot of different food items now on the market that say with probiotics,
So I always say food first.
Oh, really?
And if you're eating healthy foods, that's great.
Like what?
Unfortunately,
Like Greek yogurt? Does that
so
have
Greek,
probiotics?
Greek yogurt, any yogurt that is real yogurt.
Okay.
That hasn't been processed and all will have probiotics. Greek yogurt happens to be really high in probiotics, so I like that.
Okay.
Some yogurts are fortified with probiotics. They add them. That's great as well. Kimchi, which is any fermented food.
Fermented
Sauerkraut
cabbage.
has probiotics in it. So there's plenty of sources you can get from regular sources. However, most of us don't eat those foods a lot. And if you've got bloating, in fact, we're going to talk about the study today. They looked at people who were feeling bloated and sort of not quite as sharp as they want to be. And we did a study at the show where we gave these people a week's worth of healthy food that had probiotics in it. and then the probiotic pills, which I think are great to have as an addition, were an extra supplement. And we saw that the bacteria in their gut, to Cubby's point, it didn't go down. It's not supposed to go down. It got more diversified. You had more of the good bacteria and more different kinds of bacteria, which is what you want. And that big study that came out looking at peanut allergies.
Yes, I just if we can recap that for people who don't know about it.
So we have been for the last decade. When I say we, like the U.S. government has been saying, don't give kids peanuts. In fact, if you're pregnant, don't eat peanuts because it might create allergies in your kids. It was the opposite. People, when you eat peanuts as a pregnant woman, or when you give your kids, when they can start taking solids, let's say by 4 to 6 months, peanuts, they actually have, not real peanuts, peanut powder and the like.
Right.
You're not going to give a 4-month-old a peanut, they'll choke. But they actually have less peanut allergies.
Yeah.
And think about it. When we were kids, there weren't any peanut allergies, right? I went to school. No one in my class had peanut allergies that I know of.
Right.
Now I can't send my kids to school with peanuts.
Right.
It's again an example of like you want to stress the system a little bit. So giving us a little bit of bacteria, having the pets lick the kids, which seems gross, actually it turns out strengthens the kid's immune system, makes them less likely to have allergies.
Not today, Satan. I am not going to let my dog kiss my kids on the lips.
I know, but you say you don't want that to happen, but the dog licks the furniture and the floor, and the kids are on the floor
his
and on the
butthole.
furniture and the butthole, all that good
Okay,
stuff.
all right. Well, no, thank you. But
Cubby goes there.
This is why I don't wear shoes in my house. There was another big article that talks about like why you shouldn't wear shoes in your home, and everybody looks at me like I'm the biggest weirdo. We do not wear shoes in my house because I still have a little guy that's on the floor all the time. He's crawling. My
Well, I
Asher.
think that's a smart move.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because when you walk around, you walk into things that aren't now natural, right? There's pesticides in the grass.
Right.
There's toxins in the when you step in the stuff with fluids with chemicals in it. But a pet, has naturally occurring bacteria. Make it a little cleaner, just to make it. It turns out that the bacteria in a child's stomach who's born through cesarean section is very different than a child born through natural childbirth. Because the child coming through the vaginal canal picks up a lot of bacteria that's in the mother's womb, in the vajayjay area, right? Obviously, it's pretty close to other holes. I mean, bacteria gets in there. That's supposed to happen.
Yes.
Now, when a child's born through a cesarean section, is completely sterile. The first bacteria in the child's mouth is from the mother's nipple. Different bacteria. And it turns out because of those bacterial differences, there may be health differences as well. There are some doctors, this is the truth, some doctors, when the baby's born through cesarean section, they'll take a little bit of vaginal flora and put it in the baby's mouth. And in many cultures, it's traditional to spit in the child's mouth when they're born.
Lord.
Because it inoculates the child with the bacteria from the parents, which is
Wow.
actually what's supposed to be in there.
Yeah, I had 2 cesarean sections, and that was an article that was very popular when I was having my second son, and it was something that we contemplated, and I don't know, I guess we were just in the moment and we didn't remember, and that's why they always tell you to make a birth plan and speak about it with your doctor, but that is something that I read, and one of the first things that my son Asher had was my breast, so that was my way of trying to give him my
Your bacteria.
immunity.
But skin bacteria is different from bowel bacteria.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a bad thing. It's just not the same as we historically would always have. And we forget about this. Again, if you have trillions of bacteria in your gut, you got to inoculate it somewhere. Someone's got to go first. So you have to put some bacteria in there, which is why probiotics become critical. So the bacteria in your mics that we just measured, it's actually not bacteria. We're measuring contaminations, germs. So, but and things
We
like
don't know what kind of germs they are.
No, we
right?
don't.
No.
And viruses, in the wintertime, we have more of them because they survive longer. You don't want to have.
Right.
Well, whenever I go to the bathroom, I take my phone with me because my pass is in the back of my phone.
Yeah.
And producer Colleen always makes fun of me because I wrap my phone up like a little present in napkins because other people are going to the bathroom and they're flushing and I'm flushing and I don't want that stuff all over my phone.
Well, how do you? Well, first of all, there's a plume of bacteria that come out of the toilet when you flush it. So you're smart
Exactly.
to wrap it like a birthday present. But when you leave the bathroom, what's your protocol?
I take the napkin and I open up the door with the napkin that I use to wash my hands. And then I throw it and then I crumple it up like a basketball.
And this
I
is the
throw it.
woman that's sick every other week.
And Kevin, what do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah.
Cubby doesn't wash his hands.
I wash
He
my
doesn't
hands
wash.
and I leave. But I do take the last napkin I use, or the last towel I use, I will hold on to the door, and then I'll throw it.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, that's a smart move.
I do
That's
that.
what Carolina's doing.
Yeah.
He's learned a lot from me, Dr. Oz. The only reason why is because I called him out the one time he came back so fast from going to the bathroom and he just like hit the Purell. I was like, dude, you did not wash your hands.
We have Purell's right by here. Is that
Yeah.
okay? Can I just do Purell?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Purell's fine.
it's fine.
Some people, their hands dry out from using the alcohol sanitizer too
Yeah.
much, but if you moisturize once in a while, it makes sense.
103.5 KTU, Cubby and Carolina in the morning. You know what I have Dr. Oz doing right now, Carolina?
You are being so ridiculous right now. I can't even believe you. You're the guy that at the party says, hey, will you check out this mole for me, Dr. Oz?
I got blood work done a couple of weeks ago, and they emailed me the blood work, and they highlighted some concerns and broke it down for me, but there are a ton of numbers that I don't understand.
Yeah.
Dr. Oz is currently looking at my blood work, giving me more insight. And what do you see just by glancing at it?
Is he going to die?
Am I going to die?
Not on air. All
right.
You won't die on air. So, when the doctors do tests, they do. First of all, they look at the electrolytes, which are the chemicals in the body. Yours was great. They look at your number of red blood cells and white blood cells to see if your immune function is okay, if you're anemic or not. That's all great. And then they start looking at things that might predict long-term problems. So your urine tox screen, for example. No, I'm kidding. they have a lipid panel, which looks to see if cholesterol is going to be a problem for you. And so I see two problems. One of them is this lipid panel. Your total cholesterol is a little bit high, but that's not what bothers me. You're lousy. So cholesterol.
There's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, right?
Cholesterol is carried by good guys. They're like Mighty Mouse, right? They grab up the cholesterol, get it out of your body. But we measure that, and your numbers is average there. Not too bad, not too good, but just in the middle.
Story of his life.
Story of
he's
life, right?
average.
That's average, middling.
Just an average guy.
Just an average guy. So who's been hugely successful. But your lousy LDL cholesterol, which are like these big Thanksgiving floats full of cholesterol, they bang into the buildings coming down 6th Avenue, and they spew cholesterol into your arteries. That number is a little high for you. It's 126. You sort of want that number to be under 100 if possible.
Okay.
It's all the Fireball he's drinking,
Is that-
Dr. Oz.
Is that the stuff that can block
Yes.
your veins into the heart?
Yeah, blocks the arteries.
Arteries, right.
And so you don't want to have too much of that LDL cholesterol. So the things that could reduce LDL cholesterol include a little bit of weight loss, which you don't look bad right now, frankly, but it's a little bit makes a
I think
difference.
everyone can always lose a little weight, right? Yeah.
But also the way you eat makes a difference for this. So on this 21-day breakthrough diet that we were talking about in the break, we have a diet every January because it's Kickstart, and we've had 5 million people download these plans over the last. This is our 8th year of the show, and the diets aren't completely different from the prior year. We just sort of iterate them, make them continually better. This year, I took advantage of 3 huge studies that came out showing that people who ate plant proteins lose more weight naturally, even having the same calories as people who eat animal proteins. So if you have, instead of having a thing with a face, a cow or chicken or something, if you eat tofu, tempeh, any soybean, nuts, regular old beans, pinto beans, navy beans, etc., people seem to lose more weight. It also seems to fix their cholesterol. Plant-based proteins don't come along with natural fats that animal-based proteins do. And so there's less cholesterol to cart around. If you lose a little belly fat as well, and these diets all result in that, you have less inflammation of the liver. Without inflammation of the liver, you don't make some of the lousy LDL cholesterol.
It's like a domino effect.
It is.
Yeah.
And so that's probably something you want to see because, listen, as a young man, you don't have a lot of plaque in your yet, but it starts to accumulate. And it starts to manifest itself in very different ways, especially as we get into our 5th decade of life. And why have that headache at all?
Yeah, and he's right there. I mean, Cubby is right around the corner of 50.
yeah.
No,
No,
just
I am. I'm
kidding.
45.
No, I know. But you know what?
I'm
you
going
do
plot
try.
shopping today. I'm going to go plot
stop.
shopping.
I do have a couple. I do have a couple of
His and
questions
hers.
coming in. 69935. Jacqueline texted that she wanted to know if her friend is big on drinking kombucha.
Yeah.
Is that healthy? She says it helps with the immune system and metabolism.
Kombucha is a very hot idea now. Imagine a beer. It's not beer, but it has that sort of fizzy element, and it's got alcohol in it. Now, kombucha can
sold.
Be, it can be. If it has less than 0.5% of alcohol, they don't have to label it with alcohol. But they actually have alcoholic kombucha, which I like the taste of a lot.
I like it too.
Yeah, and the fermentation, which is what makes the alcohol, and they make tea versions of it. And they have it's flavored with traditional American flavors, Chinese flavors, etc. I think kombucha is going to continue to be a hot item, and people ought to take advantage of it. Can I go back to Cubby for 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
There's one thing you didn't warn me about that I did notice here. Your vitamin D levels are very low.
They told me that. And I'm taking vitamin D 5,000 now?
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people,
But don't you get in low vitamin D common in this area? We don't have any sun
in the
until
tri-state, yeah.
April.
Yeah, endemic. That's what I was making a point of. If you're listening to our voices now, there's a more than 50-50 chance you're vitamin D deficient. I'm saying again, more than half the people can hear my voice are low in vitamin D. 1,000 units a day is the minimum I would take. Take it in pill form. It's very hard to get vitamin D from food. Mushrooms have some, but not enough. You need it from the sun. The sun's rays aren't able to hit your body for a long enough time in the cold weather. And even in Florida, by the way, people oftentimes have low vitamin D because they're not in the sun and without sunblock. So take 1,000 a day, and if you can genetically predisposed, you got to take more than that. So 5,000 a day is typical for a lot of folks.
What if you take a multi and it's included in your multivitamin?
Again, for most people, that's enough.
Okay.
But you should check it just once to make sure, because if you're still low, even with 1,000, you ought to take a little extra. It's not a big deal. It's not harmful for you. You can't really overdose on vitamin D. But you do want to make sure that's in the right range. And Aborigines, right? People who live the way we used to live as a species, they'll have levels in the 50s. Cubby, you're 24. I mean, you're less than 30, which is the minimum I would tolerate, but you're half of what your ancestors probably had.
As far as vitamin D in my body right now?
Yes.
Oh, so I need to be above 50.
Well, no, you need to be at least above 30.
And I'm at 24.
At 24.
Oh,
and optimal.
Well, I'm dying.
Optimal, yeah, but we all are. We all are.
Lisette wants to know, she says she's dealing with a lot of bloating and constipation. Thanks for the TMI, girl. But she says, is it safe for pregnant women to take probiotics in pill form?
Absolutely. And for bloating and constipation, I would consider it one of my first line therapies.
Okay.
And then you got to get the right stuff. Get more than 10 billion cultures in whatever product you get. You can look for multiple sources of probiotics, and don't just take a pill. Take food sources as well. But for a lot of people, considering a pill in that setting is a rational thing to do.
What are your thoughts on boys eating tofu? They're not sure if it's good for him or not. 347 asked.
Okay, so it's a very sophisticated question. I'm glad they brought it up. So the concern with males is that tofu is full of phytoestrogens. So it mimics estrogens. Tofu, because it's made from soybeans, has a little bit of that, but not much. So food sources of soybeans are never a problem. Soy milk is where the concerns start to come in. Okay. But there are some good sources of soy, and I think a glass or two of soy milk a day is not going to be a problem for most people. So if you're looking for a dairy alternative, it's okay. But drinking gallons and gallons of it could be a concern for young men.
We have a call from Joey. Joey's on the phone. He has a question I think I know the answer to, and I'm no Dr. Oz. But Joey, what is your question about tanning booths?
Yeah, I want to find out. Can you get vitamin D from
Can you get vitamin D? I'm sorry, your phone's breaking up. Can you get vitamin D from a tanning booth? I know tanning booths are bad.
Yeah, you can. It's not the best way to get vitamin D.
Not the best way. Yeah, that's what I figured.
You don't want to get skin cancer with your vitamin D. And I know that not all tanning booths put you at risk for skin damage. People have been getting more sophisticated about it. But across the board, the U.S. regulatory groups and major medical groups say don't get your vitamin D from tanning booths because it's just not regulated enough. We just can't tell whether they're exposing you with the right kinds of goodies. And I don't want to take a risk. Can I ask one other question? In the break, we were talking about your sleep score. Your S+.
My wife has really low scores. She's in her not her age is not 60s. She's in her 30s, but her sleep score is like 62, 63, and mine's always in the 90s. This is this machine you gave me that hooks up to your app.
Right. So just there's it's called the S+.
Right.
We're giving away $1 million worth of these things. So please go to DrOz.com or just look up sleep score. And you'll find these things and get one for your own home. But your scores have been good, right?
On a work night, like on a weeknight, I wake up with a 75, 78. On the weekends, I wake up with a 90 score.
All right. So I'm looking at your wife's scores. She sent me a screenshot. And the reason I like this is because I don't want to just know how many hours you sleep. I want to know whether the quality of sleep was good or not. And as I look at your wife's numbers, her overall grade is only a 67 on the one that I have here. But she's actually not doing badly in terms of her mix. The one issue that's sort of catching me off guard is she has 9 disruptions, which means 9 times during the night, she may not be aware of this, she's waking up.
That's the damn cats.
Is the cats?
We have 3 cats on the bed.
Yeah. So the cats are waking her up, and if she
and I'm probably waking her up too. Who knows?
Yeah, you may be part of the problem, but I would strongly suggest that you maybe box the cats out for one night.
Cats out of the bed.
And just cats, and eventually you if it doesn't work.
That wouldn't be a problem for Coco. She's like, get out of here.
But aren't disruptions pretty common throughout the night?
Yes, but you're not supposed to have 9 disruptions.
9.
You can have 3 disruptions. You get up to go to the bathroom twice. You hear a noise. People aren't even aware of these disruptions, but they can destroy the quality of the sleep. So again, it's not just quantity; it's quality. And if she feels like $1 million, then maybe she can tolerate being lower on her sleep score. But I want everyone to understand what their sleep scores are so they can actually judge for themselves, because she does reach deep sleep. She does have light sleep here. She's obviously dreaming times, but you'll notice one of the times she sort of dreamt longer. She got woken up. Something happened and woke her up, it looks like 4 a.m. And
That's actually when my alarm goes off.
Yep.
Oh.
My alarm goes off at 4 a.m.
All right, so your alarm woke her up, took her out of a dream that she would have been restorative, because you want to have these cycles of the sleep. That's how you cleanse your brain. So it's like usual, it's your fault.
Blame
Yeah,
it
of
on
course.
Cubby.
Blame
Blame it on Cubby.
Always. Vanessa says, I love you, Dr. Oz. What is the reason that we get gray hair? I missed it when you had it on your show.
So we have pigmented cells. They're like oil cans next to our hair follicles, and they squirt out pigment into the hair as it's being created. So if you don't have a normal process of secreting the pigment, you'll start to get gray hair. It is very normal. People start getting gray hairs in their 20s, as
Yes,
you know.
yeah.
And we get all worked up about it. It doesn't frankly matter. It doesn't, who cares if your pigment changes a little bit? Losing hair is a separate issue. That happens because you're making too much.
Why'd you look at me when you said that?
Losing hair? Well, because, let's just be honest.
Yeah, yeah, losing
I'm
hair,
turning
yeah.
into a silver fox, though, because my dad and my grandmother had silver hair. I started getting gray hair when I was 18.
I think it's sexy.
No,
Yeah.
I got to get these roots done. They are not looking cute.
Whenever I do analysis of hair on the show, I have to always clear with the women, because they always have pigment in their hair, in other words, dye, even in their 20s. So it's become pretty common. And I know, listen, we want to look our best, and dyeing our hair is one of the ways we do that. If it's your can, that's fine. There's no harm to it. I sort of like the real color, though. I like those silver foxes.
Yeah, well, okay, all right. I might think about it. But I have to get my hair colored every 3 weeks, because that's how fast my
You
hair
look
grows.
good.
Thank you, honey.
Hey, we got to run. Before we let you go, so watch the show. What's happening today?
Well, lots of good things happening today. We're getting into probiotics that we discussed.
Right.
We've got a wonderful show on spirituality and how it affects your health. This is a theme that's becoming big. Every Friday in February, we're going to have Faithful Fridays, and Faithful Fridays are all about trying to get people to understand why they're not showing up in their own lives. So much of what we're facing in the world today, especially driven by social media, is listening to other people around us brag about their lives, as opposed to showing up in your own lives. And the best metaphor I can give you is we're all like raindrops falling into the ocean of humanity. And our vessels are different, right? The teapots that we represent are all different. We're looking over and seeing, that one looks a little bit drab. We look, not as good as we should look. But the fluid in us, which is what life is really about, is the same. And when we get comfortable with that reality, then you can show up in your own lives in a more fulfilling way. And I'm realizing more and more as a doctor, if you don't address those emotional drivers of health, we'll never get the physical stuff right either.
That was super deep for Cubby. I'll explain it to you later.
Yeah,
honey.
please do.
Yes, I
Yeah,
will.
thank you.
I'll break it down for you. babe.
Dr. Oz, we love you.
We
Thank you
love
so much.
Dr. Oz. Thank
Take
you
care,
so
my friends.
much.
Love you all.
The beat of New York.
1035 KTU.